Hello.
Oh, no, not again.
Scotty, beat me.
I got a bad feeling about this.
Beginnings are easy to come up with. It's the middle and the end that I have problems with. Good evening and welcome to the new audio project from James Spielberg. You know my name, look up the number. Guten Abend und willkommen zu der neues lustiges Kassett von dem berühmten Dummkopf James Spielberg. Du weißt meinen Namen, du kannst mich gern haben. Bonjour. Bon avenue la mer la plume avec James Spielberg. Voulez-vous cassette das Champs-Élysées le pouf extraordinaire. Konnichiwa. Ojenko desu ka. Ano hido mo shimashita. Gaijin James Spielberg. Hi. Toshiba Sony dai ni maku sushi nagamaki misu. Put your tray table in the upright position, settle back, relax a voo. Tell me what more can an old rocker do? Flight time is approximately 1 hour. Have a good flight and arrive safely at Centauri or wherever your final destination may be. Let me get that. Bitte deinen Sessel herunterwerfen, was uns brechen und auf den Weg machen. Was mehr kann den alten Scheißkerl tun? Viel Vergnügen und beste Wünsche, eine gute Zeit zu haben mit den Centauri oder was immer du möchtest. Geh heim und deiner Mutter einen schönen Kuss geben. Merci, mon petit chouchou. Voulez-vous coucher avec Centauri? On connaît la métro, oui. Vous chill là-bas. Bon, la dame sans merci. Maintenant, tournez du prat noir, s'il vous plaît. Café au lait. If a nightingale could sing like you, they sing much sweeter than they do. Misa no hito ni arabasama shita. Kore e mita kudasai. To chiro desu ka. Fetatsu aru en desu ka. Nihonga ga dekimasu ka. De wa mata. Sayonara.
Yeah, yeah! Well, looky who's back! It's me! Bitch! Ha!
The puffin sipped at his herbal tea and sighed.
You can't get the buttons these days.
For a moment, while staring out the window, Barbara thought she could see someone working in the bushes. Rain splattered the pane in a violent burst, and she flinched thoughtlessly. Just my imagination, she thought, and went back to her desk. She sat slowly and stared at the blank page in her journal. Picking up a fancy quill pen, she started to write slowly and carefully in an elegant hand. June 6, 1965. I came home today to a phone call. I'd been to the supermarket and bought some porterhouse and Cabernet, thinking perhaps I would put some fire into his blood, but no, he has to work late again. Contracts. I'm sick to death of contracts. Her vision blurred suddenly, and her hand slipped a little bit, leaving a black blob on the ruled lines. She put the pen down and pulled a tissue from a gold box. For a change, she didn't feel much like writing. The kitchen was dark as she entered it. She didn't need to see to know where the drawer was or where the bottle opener was. It was a cheap 63, and it tasted of acid flowing down her throat. The telephone rang. Again. Just lucky, I guessed, by James Spielberg. It was probably a wrong number, but she got it before the third ring. Is he gone, Susan dear? Hello, Aunt Katie, she said with a smile. Happy birthday, young spud, Katie said. How do you feel? Susan shrugged. About the same. Ah, but you're not the same, are you? You're a young woman of 15 now. Susan shrugged. I have to go, Aunt Katie, or I'll be late for school. School? Katie repeated. School? Are you bereft of your senses, little one? You can't go to school on your birthday. Susan picked at the phone cord. She loved her aunt, but when she got into lecture mode, she could be quite boring. It made her sorry that she answered the phone now. Katie said. Fine. Please yourself. Is the louse taking you out for dinner tonight? Dad has to work late again tonight, Susan said sulkily. The cad. Very well. I shall meet you after school. But, Susan objected. Don't give me that, Katie said. It's the least I can do for my favorite niece. Well, when are you finished anyway? Susan sighed quietly. At 2:15, you know that. I'll meet you at the west entrance. Yes, Auntie. Don't keep me waiting. No, Auntie. I liked it better before the two of you moved to Manhattan, you know, Katie continued. It takes me so long to drive in from Connecticut. Susan rolled her eyes to heaven. Yes, Auntie, she said in a patient tone. I love you, dear, Katie said. See you soon. She hung up. Great, Susan thought. Without really thinking about it too much, she began to make herself a sandwich for later. Oh man, it's cold, Nate thought. He hugged himself, but the wind blowing into the little bus shelter on 2nd Avenue was diabolical this morning. He glanced at his watch. It was 7:30 in the morning on November 5th, 1979. A bus pulled up to the stop and the doors opened. Nat shook his head at the driver, who shrugged and swung the doors closed again. Before pulling away from the curb, the vehicle spit a little black cloud into the air and growled off, heading downtown. It wasn't time yet. Where was she? Must be running late today. He had a thought suddenly. Oh, hell, I hope she isn't ill, he silently said to himself. He waited 5 more minutes. The cold was beginning to seriously piss him off. No, wait, finally, there she was, stomping down the street in that heavy-footed way that women often walked. Nate could always tell if a woman was in the apartment above him because they walked heavier than men did, with all that lower body strength. She was wearing a long, black felt coat with a lovely white scarf around her neck. Her head was bare, revealing her long and thin brown hair, which wasn't too bright, he thought, considering it was below freezing at the moment. Under the coat, she was wearing her school uniform. Schoolgirl uniform, Nat thought. He liked schoolgirl uniforms. Beige stockings or pantyhose, he couldn't tell which, and well-worn brown loafers. Her gold-framed glasses gave her something of a serious look and aged her considerably. She didn't look like a teenager. She looked like a 20-something. Except for the uniform. Nate shook his head and tried to concentrate on the matter at hand. She barely gave him a look as she entered the bus shelter. It was a trait she shared with most New Yorkers. There were just too many people about to pay attention to them all, so one ignored most other people. They blended into the background as if they were just part of the scenery, as if they did not have their own concerns, feelings, or lives. Impatiently, she leaned out to see if a bus might not be coming somewhere off in the distance. Her neck craned for a moment or two, and then she snorted to herself, folded her arms, and stamped her feet. She was cold. Cold today, isn't it? Nate said. She shot him a glance, consciously noticing him for the first time. Yes, she said. She looked up the avenue again, but she still couldn't see anything hopeful. There was a small run in her pantyhose where her ankle ended and her heel began, where the shoe must have been chafing her foot. Nate noticed and smiled to himself. She was lovely. When the bus arrived, they both got on and rode downtown in different parts of the vehicle. Nat felt well pleased with himself. Katie pulled her car up to the west entrance of the Marshall Academy for Young Ladies. A big sign set into the concrete of 74th Street loudly proclaimed, "Don't even think of parking here," which meant that there was plenty of room for the Jaguar at the curb. Of course, Katie parked there. It was 10 after the hour. Katie lit up an imported Rothmans and inhaled deeply. The street was pretty empty, as it was freezing cold, and the sky was covered with dark and pregnant-looking clouds. Perhaps it would snow. No one really wanted to be out and about on a day like today. Katie turned up the heater a notch, took a deep drag inside. It was nice to relax here for a few moments after the hour-long drive from Connecticut. The contrast between the cold outside, so bitter it seemed to burn, and the lazy warmth of the air coming from the vents in front of her made her feel snuggly and happy to be alive. Even sleepy. After a time, school children began to pour out of the door of the academy. Most were laughing and talking before being hit by the wind off the East River, and then they pulled their collars up and hurried for the bus shelters and subway stations. Katie smiled. Ah, there was Susan. She seemed to be comforting one of her friends, patting her on the shoulder and then giving her a hug. The two friends parted. Susan looked around, saw Katie's Jaguar, and her face lit up prettily. She readjusted her book bag on her shoulder and headed for the car. As she opened the door, she shuddered with the cold. "Hello, Auntie," she said cheerfully. "Hello, dear," Katie said, stepping out the Rothman. "How was school?" Susan coughed. "It stinks in here," she said. Katie shrugged, tossed her smoke out the window, and closed the ashtray. "Sorry," she said. Susan smiled and gave her a kiss on the cheek. "And how are you, you old rat bag?" Katie gave her a mock hard stare. "Just dandy, you impudent young bitch." They both giggled. "And your father?" Katie asked as she checked her rearview mirror and then pulled the Jag away from the curb. Susan frowned slightly. "About the same." "Always busy?" The two drove uptown to 59th Street, where Katie parked in a garage. They hurried through the usual crowd to Bloomingdale's, where Katie bought Susan some comfortable clothing, jeans, sweatshirt, and sneakers. And against the niece's objections, a pair of black heels and some racy perfume. "You have to have some fun in life," Katie insisted. "And I know you won't get much from your father." Susan changed out of her school uniform into the new comfy clothes, and then they went and had a late lunch, early dinner at the diner on the corner of 60th Street. It was a place they liked to go to often. "You know my name. Look up the number." We definitely live in the computer age. Go into Sears, buy an average computer, take it home, buy a membership to America Online or the equivalent, and you can dial into this thing called the Internet. The Internet is, it started as an academic tool to allow people at universities throughout the world to effortlessly, with a local phone call or a local computer connection, get access to information that had been posted by people across the world. And, of course, students found out about it and quickly mutated it so that its main focus became pornography. The common denominator of computer students in colleges is sex, apparently. And this popularized the Internet, and people began putting up things because they thought they were funny, like the James T. Kirk sing-along page and other things. So the Internet grew. And there's some things about it that are really neat. Like if you're really into pornography, it's quite useful. Or if you're interested in scientific research, it's still very useful when it's not bogged down by all the people using the pornography. And some of the services that are available are called search engines. One of the most popular is Yahoo, one of the things in Yahoo is this little search feature thingy that you can click on this thing, and anybody who's ever had any electronic account with a service provider can be located through this thing. It's called Yahoo 411, or Find a Friend. Sometimes they call it Find a Friend. And Find a Friend worries me. It's people peer in this 411 listing regardless of whether or not they want to. I mean, if there's an electronic footprint that you have made, the chances of you being in 411 and being findable is quite high. For example, if you do a search on me, James Spielberg, as if you didn't know who I was, you will find my old email address for Delphi or Mindspringer, one of those. You won't find my current one because I don't know why, but it's not there. Anyway, so I was using it one night to look for people I used to know to see if, are they still alive or maybe they're listed. Found a few people. Carmen M. Graham was in there. She did not know she was in there. She did after I sent her an email saying, hey, which is in itself a long story, which I won't go into now. And some other people. A friend of April Dawn Tortorella's, who people in Centauri will remember her being mentioned quite a few times, and Dave P. Fletcher's, ditto, named Nora, was also in this listing. Now, Nora and April and I had an interesting relationship at one point. And Dave and Nora and I had an interesting relationship at one point. So it was an emotionally charged thing to go, well, okay, I can't find April. April's not listed in 411. And I found Dave under her given name, Amaryllis Burnkeet. Apparently she has an account on CompuServe. I found her and I sent Amaryllis an email saying, hey, apparently she's living in her parents' apartment at 540 Main Street, New York 10044 still. But she did not reply to my email. Now, this could be for one of two reasons. One, she thinks I'm a jerk and never wants to talk to me again, which seems fairly reasonable to me. Or two, she no longer has the account at CompuServe. This is also very likely. But I had assumed that Amaryllis would have married this boyfriend of hers or whatever and stayed in New Hampshire, where she went to college. But no, she returned to New York to the exclusive apartment of her father and mother, presumably, and apparently is now living there. And I assume working or continuing her studies in New York. Well, that's very interesting to know. However, big question. Do I have a right to know this? I think not. I mean, it's not my damn business, is it? But yet, the internet, in its infinite power and wisdom, has given me a way of actually even harassing her if I was a jerk. I mean, if I really was a jerk. I could harass this person I used to be very close to a long time ago, 10 years ago. A lady friend of mine and I were staying in this hotel in a part of France called Brittany. That's in the northwest part of the country near the shore. Fairly industrial, small town called Brest. And we'd been out drinking late one night, and the French are really remarkably unfriendly. They're not terribly friendly. The friendliest thing that happened to us on that whole trip was that a couple guys tried to pick up my lady friend behind my back when she was on the way back from having a pee. Anyway, we listened to some Jimi Hendrix and Simon and Garfunkel on the jukebox and had an improbable number of drinks, and then, tired, we went back to the hotel to sleep. My lady friend went back to sleep quite promptly, but as usual, I had a little trouble falling asleep and lay there for a while. I'd finally dropped off and was snoozing lightly when I was awoken by a scream. Well, the scream hadn't come from my room. No, it was coming from the room next door. Yep, there it was again. Oh my God, the people next door. He was killing her. Wait a moment. No, he's not killing her. He's doing something else to her. My, are they loud. The wall was thumping. I lay there for a while and tried to get back to sleep, but it's kind of difficult when you hear people groaning and moaning in pleasure in the room next door. Of course, my lady friend slept through it and then chastised me the next day for not waking her up. Anyway, so I also found this other address for her friend, my former friend, Nora, who also is still living in New York. In fact, in an apartment right across the street from Amaryllis on Roosevelt Island. And I sat down and I wrote her a letter. It seems to me a pleasant enough note, but I ended up not sending it because of this girl's ego when I used to know her. And she really was a girl when I knew her. She was a teenager. But even though that's politically incorrect, all right, so she was a bit of an egomaniac, this woman, when I knew her a long time ago. Now, last time I saw her, we had a long talk, and she told me that it seemed to her that people she knew seemed to travel around her in a circle, and she was the hub of the circle, and other people seemed to orbit around her. And I told her that was strange, because I felt something of the same way. Inside I was thinking, my God, do you have an ego the size of Texas? And And I was thinking about that and the fact that I'm sure she'd be pleased that 10 years after I last saw her, that I was still thinking about her, and that she was still influencing me in some way. And I think that more than anything else made me say, nah, I ain't gonna send this letter. Forget it. I'd rather not. Again, it's December 5th. We're getting ready to go out to Maison Gourmet for dinner. And we've dressed up. And I'll be doing a little recording in the hopes that I can use it. You ready? I'm ready.
There are quite some people, and we did try to do some pictures. Take some pictures. How's it called when it, you can do something to the camera, it takes the picture, and then you can run back there and get into it?
The timer or something.
Yeah, okay. And all 8 of us were at this one couch. We had so much fun taking these pictures, and we're looking forward to them. There was no better than the camera.
Well, at least you took the lens cap off.
Happy birthday.
Thank you very much. How old am I now?
Just tell you younger than I am.
Well, I'm always going to be younger than you are. Might as well get used to it now. 33, right?
Like your sister-in-law.
My sister-in-law. Andreas' wife.
Elizabeth.
I thought Elizabeth was her sister. Oh, my sister-in-law. Okay.
Good morning.
Hello. Earth to James. I'm the same age as your sister.
Yes, you are.
Does that make
Actually, she's a few months older.
Yeah.
She already turned 33 in June.
Wait a minute, you were born in July, she was born in June?
What I mean.
Your parents were very busy for a while there, huh?
Might have been an accident. We don't have to do it this fast.
Little does she know. I want a baseball team. The moment you put her down, she starts doing that. If you pick her up and hold her, then she's fine for a while. I think she's gone to the bathroom in her pants, but she doesn't seem to have finished, so I'm not going to change her. That's a little bit later. I think a lot less people would become parents if they knew what they were getting into.
I took the strangely glowing ticket from the giant crane fly and turned to get onto the train. Hurry, he hissed, and then before my very eyes changed into a splendid cream bun.
Cold today, isn't it? Nate said. She shot him a glass. She shot him a glass? Cold today. And then they went and had a late lunch, early dinner at the diner in the coronary at the coronary at the corner of 60th Street. Filling these things out to 60 minutes isn't terribly easy, so I'm looking through old materials to see if I might find something interesting. And I think I found a little something here. It's an old tape with Al Stern made in 1992. It is October 22nd, 5 minutes after 8 p.m. And I'm here with Al Stern at Joe McDonald's in Hartville, New Jersey.
And I'm kind of tired, actually. How close should I? Should I be okay here?
Yeah, that's
All right.
right.
The thing really is that, not to mention the garbage we make, because we make a tremendous amount of garbage, and the mall doesn't recycle. It just won't.
Uh-huh. Well, have you heard the new reports that recycling is bad anyway?
I figured it would be.
Because you've got all these trucks driving around just doing recycling. What they're doing is burning up a lot of gasoline, which is putting a lot of carbon gas back into the air. What is it called? CRCs back into the air. And that's probably worse. They probably create more pollution picking up the stuff to recycle it than you prevent by recycling. There are arguments on both sides of the issue. And that's all from Joe McDonald's to Al Stern. Our correspondent Al Stern.
I wish I could come up with something more exciting than that, but things have been weird in my life lately. I haven't really. It would be forced and not very humorous, I think.
It doesn't have to be humorous. They're all
Oh, okay. Insight. Tranquil.
Boring.
My life hasn't been tranquil at all, so that's not going to work either. It's been angst-ridden. Angst-ridden has been my life. Actually, hold on. I know what I'm going to talk about. Since last time we did this, since I was in Centauri, I went from being sort of kind of laid back and mellow and happy, and I went to school in Manhattan, and I've become paranoid, depressive, and generally unhappy with just life in general. And just everything, my art is not happy anymore. It's sort of kind of depressed. And yeah, so I'm actually doing a book this year in which I'm sort of going through all the things that one could be paranoid about.
Fine.
Hey, don't touch it. What's your Barbie's name? Just talk, honey. Just talk, honey.
Bobby.
Her name's Barbie. And what's your name?
Victoria.
Victoria what?
Victoria Spielberg.
No, you mean Victoria Elizabeth Spielberg. Don't you? And what's my name?
What's your name?
My name is James Norman Spielberg. Also known as Papa.
No.
No?
James Spielberg.
Okay, thank you, sweetie. What are you going to do now?
I am talking about the Alex
Alex? Who's Alex?
and Germany.
In Germany? You're going to Germany? Why are you going to Germany?
Because I will be married.
You're going to be married? No.
Yes, I am.
Your Aunt Tanya is getting married.
To me.
No, she's getting married to a boy.
No.
Yeah. She's getting married to Daniel.
No.
Yeah, you're going to be a bridesmaid. You're going to help in the wedding, okay? And then you get married.
Do you talking there?
Yes, you talking here.
Do you see the blue and green?
What blue and green?
Blue and there. Blue and green.
I don't know what you talking about, girl.
They talking here.
Yes, you talking here.
Do you see?
That's close. Do I see what?
Do you see some gray?
Some gray? Yeah, I see some gray. I see some red and some pink and orange in your dress. Hmm?
Do you see it?
Yes. Victoria, who do you love? Me? You love me? Say it.
I love Papa.
Oh, that's your good girl. Who else do you love?
I love Mama and Jonathan.
Okay. Do you have anything else?
No.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
Bobby.
You want to be Barbie?
L-O-P-Q-R-S. I said words, Papa.
Good girl.
I'm here.
Yeah, good. Can you tell me a story? Or sing me a song?
L-O-P-Q-R-S.
Can you sing me a song?
I love you. You love me. We are best of friends. I should put a big hug and a kiss from you to do. Won't you say I love you too?
I love you too, dear.
Do you see the little star?
No, I don't see the little star.
Do you see the balls?
No, but I've got plenty of them.
Do you see a computer?
Yes.
Let's hear that.
Okay. Come on, you know Santa Claus is coming to town. Yes. You better not pout. Na, 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 na. Come on. I'm telling you why. Go on. Santa Claus is coming
to town.
He knows when you've been sleeping. He knows when you're awake. Da, 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 da. He knows when you've been bad or good. So be good, for goodness sake. Hey, you better not pout. You better not pout. You better not pout. I'm not telling you why. Santa Claus is coming to town. Here.